The NordicTrack X24 bike sets itself apart from the competition with outdoor classes that are a bit more laid back rather than competitive. It's the kind of bike you want to log several hours per week on without wearing yourself out. Let's look at how I would use this bike more closely. Welcome to Treadmill Reviews. I'm Kaylee. In this video, I'm going to be more specific on who I would recommend the NordicTrack X24 bike for as a fitness expert and personal trainer. I'll do an overview of how the X24 is built too, but this video should give you more insight into how the X24 might fit into your training routine. Couple of things to get out of the way before we get into the fun stuff. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions as I go over the X24, leave a comment or you can check out my written review, which is linked in the description for more information. You can also use our affiliate link there to the X24 bike to purchase it. If you do so, it supports our channel without increasing the cost for you. I'm seeing this bike priced at $19.99, but these prices change all the time, so be sure to double check that. And with that, let's get back to the bike. One thing I always look for in an exercise bike is a sturdy frame. It's super important because if you're pedaling near a maximal effort, you don't want the bike to rock or feel unstable. The X24 is about 200 pounds or so it's a heavy exercise bike. It can support up to 350 pounds, so you can really crank out a hard interval on this bike and still feel very secure. The bike inclines and declines, actually tilting up and down, and those large steel stabilizers at the base make sure that you aren't going anywhere. Even though the bike is heavier than your average studio cycle, I can move it around on my own. I just lift it by the rear stabilizer and wheel it around on the transport wheels. Be careful about knocking the screen into anything when you move it. Also, if you have dumbbells stored on the bike, remove those because they could fall out. The bike must be plugged in to work, and NordicTrack will void your warranty if you store the X24 in your garage or a non-climate controlled space. This limits your options on where to put the bike a little, so I recommend finding it a dedicated space if you can. I'll talk a little later on about some of my other recommendations for where to put this bike. The X24 is NordicTrack's replacement for the S22i and S27i studio cycles. While I liked those bikes overall, the saddle was one of the components that was really lacking. I'm super happy that NordicTrack changed the saddle out. This one is much more comfortable. I like cycling on this bike a lot more because of it. If you want to do endurance rides or you're new to cycling, you'll be much more comfortable with the X24 bike. You can swap the saddle out for another one, so if you have a saddle you prefer, you can upgrade this bike with it. Another thing I like about this saddle is the adjustability. I'm 5'4" and there's a decent amount of room to drop the saddle even lower, so it should work well for cyclists 5 feet or even a little shorter. Then you can also extend the saddle much higher, accommodating cyclists up to 6'5" or so. The saddle also adjusts forward and backward, allowing you to adjust your reach. Of course, you can't have an adjustable saddle without having adjustable handlebars. The handlebars move up and down, but they do not adjust forward and backward. I do have a little trouble sometimes getting the handlebars to adjust because of the weight of the screen. If you wiggle the post a little bit, it can help though. As for comfort, I really like the positioning and grip options. Some exercise bikes, I get on them and find that I just have to sacrifice a little comfort for the ride. The X24 does not fall into that category. I feel comfortable for the long haul, which I really appreciate as someone who uses the X24 for recovery from running and for endurance training. The default pedals on the X24 are hybrid pedals. They have SPD clips on one side and toe cages on the other. I don't have cycling shoes, so I use the toe cages. So if cycling isn't your main activity or you're new to it, being able to use any athletic shoe is really nice. But I also like that the SPD clips are available, so you can try out cycling shoes or use yours if you already have them. You can also swap out the pedals, so if you want to just use flat pedals or have some go-to clipless without the strap flying around everywhere, you can. The NordicTrack X24 has a combination of resistance and incline. There are 24 resistance levels, but the -10% to 20% incline range acts as a modifier on each of those levels. The bike isn't just tilting up and down, the resistance changes to get harder with more incline and easier when it declines. It helps replicate the feeling of riding up and down hills. The incline encourages you to stay in the saddle even as the resistance gets heavy, so you don't just throw your weight around and mash those pedals. The X24 has a heavy flywheel and it does not allow freewheeling. If your goal is to hit the highest wattage possible, you have to use the brake to bring you back to a reasonable pace when your interval is over. It will just pull your legs around otherwise, so keep that in mind. Very drastic resistance changes can be a bit riskier on a bike like this if you aren't ready to hit the brake. I think the resistance is very challenging, but the construction of this bike lends itself better to endurance rides and sub-maximal intervals. Let's look at the features the X24 has, and I can get into the iFIT subscription, which is a key part of this bike. We'll get into the screen and all of its content in just a moment, but there are a few basics that also come on the X24. There are 2 dumbbell holders for the 3-pound set that comes with the bike. If I'm honest, I've never taken an iFIT class that used these, but I gravitate more toward the outdoor classes. So maybe if you take the studio classes, you'll use them more often. Either way, I don't mind them being included as a fun extra. There's also a little storage between the dumbbell holders. It's typically where I put my phone. Not a great place for viewing content, but that's okay. The X24 bike doesn't connect with Zwift or anything like that, so I don't really need to see my phone too much. You get 2 bottle holders, which fit your standard size cycling water bottle. I already mentioned that brake on the bike frame for slowing down and stopping the flywheel. Again, it's not a resistance knob. The X24 actually has resistance and incline buttons on the ends of the bike handles, which is very convenient. You can also manually adjust the resistance or incline on the screen. So on the actual console, there is a fan just under the screen and then a set of speakers just under that. Both face toward you at a good angle and are effective. I don't have any complaints there. You'll also find a USB-C charging port so you can keep your headphones or phone charged while training. Finally, we are to the screen itself. It's 24 inches and you can rotate this screen side to side, which I really love. With an iFIT membership, it is your little portal to the great outdoors without ever leaving your home. You can also stream entertainment on the screen. If you have a home gym or workout space, I recommend positioning this bike in a location where you can view that screen really well, even when you aren't on the bike. iFIT has classes for strength, yoga, and more, so you can use the bike as your display if you don't have a TV in your gym or office, wherever you want to keep it. Even if you aren't following an iFIT class, you can watch Netflix, Prime Video, or Pluto TV on the screen without using the bike itself. I like to watch TV while I work out, so the X24 gives you a nice option to do just that. Let's talk about iFIT now. So that is the subscription for the X24 bike to unlock all of the on-screen content. It's $39 per month, but you can save a little if you pay for a full year or a multi-year package. Without iFIT, you can train only in manual mode if you don't at least create a free iFIT account. It doesn't save any of your metrics or track anything. You also have to bypass the iFIT login screen every time, so it's not the best fit for anyone who doesn't want to subscribe. If you create a free iFIT account, you get a few more features. You can try out an iFIT class or 2. There are a few preset programs to choose from which automatically adjust incline and resistance, but they just show the manual training screen. So the bike is usable if you decide not to subscribe or cancel later on, but it still wouldn't be my first pick for a non-subscriber. If you do subscribe, you get a whole range of training content and unlock the entertainment apps. iFIT specializes in bike video classes that are filmed outdoors. A trainer leads each class and they are almost all shot on trails or cycling routes in these really beautiful locations all over the world. There are a few studio classes too. The resistance and incline automatically adjust so you can train hands-free. Smart Adjust learns your fitness level when you adjust your RPMs or make a manual resistance or incline adjustment. iFIT tailors your current workout and all future workouts accordingly. This feature really helps the bike feel suitable for both beginners and experienced cyclists. I'm more of a beginner cyclist because it's not my primary sport, whereas I'm an advanced runner, so I like that iFIT makes the classes on their equipment appropriate to me. I often find that other classes are too hard or way too easy for me, and that's something I don't have to worry about with iFIT. That said, iFIT is more laid back than a Peloton class. It doesn't feel as competitive, and the coaches typically have a more relaxed, conversational tone over a really high energy, give it all you've got sort of vibe. If you like endurance rides, mountain biking, or scenic rides, I like this bike for you. It's a great workout, but it is more focused on the overall experience and replicating the outdoors than most. iFIT also has options to create your own workouts and map a route with Google Maps. You can watch Netflix or another app or even listen to music through one of the music apps like Spotify. The entertainment apps can be used with iFIT or with your own custom workouts. There are thousands of classes on the X24, so you have a lot of options. I don't think you'll get bored or run out of any classes anytime soon. If you already have a NordicTrack or ProForm piece of equipment, the X24 will fit right in. You can put all of your equipment from those 2 brands on one subscription with up to 5 profiles, giving you a single fitness ecosystem, which I love. All right, so now I'm gonna cycle a little bit on the NordicTrack X24 bike so you can see and hear how it performs. Keep in mind that this is one of the quietest bikes that I've tested, so you're not gonna be able to hear too much. All right, so I have it on a very low resistance right now at about a level 3, so I can actually feel something and I'm not just spinning wildly. But let's take it up a little bit heavier, something moderate for me, about a level 8. So I don't have any incline or decline currently. This is just the resistance. I can take it up to the maximum level, which is level 24. All right, so this is gonna get really challenging for me really fast. I might even wanna come out of the saddle here. I wouldn't hang out here very often, but if you're a more advanced cyclist, it'd be great for you. All right, so I've taken some of that resistance off, so I'm at an easier resistance level now. And let's give me a break and go down to negative 10% decline. All right, so as you can see, the bike has actually tilted. And the resistance is much easier now too. So remember, the incline levels act as modifiers on the resistance. Now, even though I'm at an easy level, about level 4, if I take it up to 20% incline, it's gonna get a lot harder. It's gonna feel more like that level 24. All right, so there we are at the top of the incline there. Really starting to feel like I'm going uphill now. The bike adjusts super fast, so if we go back down to neutral, it just takes a few seconds to get there, and the resistance adjusts with it. All right, I'm gonna have to cool down a bit. That was actually a little bit more challenging than I was expecting, but it just shows you what an awesome workout this bike can be. The NordicTrack X24 is a studio bike with incline capabilities and a smart training platform. It feels a bit incomplete without an active iFIT subscription, but with one, it has thousands of trainer-led classes, several customizable features, and a few entertainment apps. If you want a bike that gives you the experience of riding outside, but in a smoother, quieter format, this might be the bike for you. NordicTrack fixed my biggest problem with the X24's predecessor, so now it has a comfortable saddle and is readier than ever for endurance rides and intense workouts. Thanks for watching my review of the NordicTrack X24 studio bike. I love testing this one out, and I'm definitely going to keep using it. If you have any questions about it, leave me a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. I'm Kaylee from treadmillreviews.com, and thanks so much for watching.